What's going on, everybody? Back with another tournament recap video. This one is going to be on the club tournament on Jordan Lake. Going on almost now 2 weeks ago. Sorry for the delay. I've been running into some technical difficulties trying to do these videos, but hopefully it's going to work this time. So to jump into it, we had 12 boaters, 11 co-anglers. It was a tough day of fishing. I think we only weighed in 9 fish amongst everybody. I did luck up and get the win. I only had 2 fish for 9.5 pounds, and I had big fish, which was a 8.81 pounder. So that was a really good fish and my biggest tournament fish to date. Second place on the boater side was an 8.32, so it was another good fish caught that day. And then first place on co-angler side was I think a 4.25, and that's just what I know off the top of my head right now without looking at the statistics. But to kind of start the day off, the tournament, the week and the week before leading up to the tournament, we were dealing with rain and storms, so a lot of rain. So we dealt with rising water the whole week prior to the tournament. Even the day before the tournament, the water was still coming up, and it kind of leveled off the day that we had the tournament, and it was about almost 6 foot above full pool. So it was definitely up in the trees at that point. Most of the bushes that people like to talk about flipping bushes, most of them were almost completely underwater just because of how high the water was. There's a lot of trash and debris in the water, especially on the main lake. A bunch of floating logs, and we all had to be careful if we ventured out and went far away from the ramp. But I had a co-angler that day, and to start our day off, we went and scanned an offshore spot. I found kayak fishing last summer. I marked a few fish, but it just didn't look promising, so we decided to start on a little island, throwing spinner baits and chatter baits into some flooded timber. Didn't have any luck doing that, so we hit the banks, and we beat the banks for about an hour and a half or so, only having one bite doing that on a chatterbait. So after when we just beat the banks, it was all unfamiliar water. I was just trying to cover water and see if we couldn't get bit. But we decided to motor back towards the ramp we launched from and fish a cove next to that. And as we were fishing through it, I got another bite on a 1/2 ounce chrome rattle trap. And those first 2 bites that I had, I missed both of them. And I did cast back in there with some other lures trying to get that fish to react again, but didn't have any luck. So we fished that cove next to the boat ramps. Then we decided to go up into Beaver Creek, and we started out in Little Beaver Creek, went towards the back of it, fished some pockets, and I did catch my small fish back in there, and that was on that white chartreuse 3/8 ounce Z-Man jackhammer chatterbait. So at this point I've got one in the live well. I think it's about 1 o'clock at this point. So kind of late in the day. We fish around, no luck. So we pull into, we slide over back into Big Beaver Creek. And the first few pockets that I wanted to fish all had anywhere from 1 to 2 boats in them. So we passed on by them. I think the 4th pocket we pulled up to didn't have any boats in it, so we fished our way into that. And at this point the wind was blowing pretty bad, so we kind of had to fish it fast as we were sliding towards the back of it. And once we got towards the back of it, there was a log laid down up against a stump. So I just let the boat rest up against this log with the wind pushing us. And so at this point we're kind of anchored down, and we were casting just as far back as we could in the back of this pocket, which we could almost reach the bank back in the back of this little drainage. But I think on my second cast, I was just throwing it right to the back and just a steady retrieve right down the middle of the drainage. And on the my second cast, my lure felt like it got a little heavy, like it picked up some of this debris that was in the water, leaves, pine needles, whatever it was. And I just kind of leaned into it to see if I couldn't drag it on through it to maybe clean my hook off, and my line actually took off sideways, so I knew I had a fish on at that point. So I kind of set the hook. It was kind of a lousy hook set, but started fighting the fish. The fish come up and jumped, and that's when both of us realized it was a good fish. So my co-angler threw his rod down, grabbed the net, and I got it to the boat. He scooped it up. We got it in the boat. Got it unhooked and realized how big it actually was, and we did a few high fives. I weighed it just because I wanted to see where I might withstand. I had gotten word from a buddy that he had caught a good fish that day, so I just kind of wanted to see where I'd stand against his fish. Got it in the live well, continued to fish. At this point it's like 1:30, 1:45, and so we didn't have much longer to go in the day. And we decided to pull out of that cut and try and fish some other wind-blown pockets, and it just wouldn't happen because the wind was just blowing so bad. My trolling motor couldn't keep up with it, so we started fishing some more secluded pockets where the wind wasn't blowing dead into them, and we didn't have any luck. So we went on into weigh-in. My co-angler didn't end up having any bites that day, which there was a lot of people that day didn't have a lot of bites. I did talk to another angler after our weigh-in from another club that said they had 20, I think he said they had 22 boats and only 4 fish weighed in. So that just goes to tell you that it was just a tough day of fishing with all the terrible conditions we had leading up to the tournament and the terrible conditions we had on tournament day. But I'll kind of show you if I can. I'll throw a picture up too in the video. Of what I caught my fish on, but just a white chartreuse 3/8 ounce Z-Man jackhammer chatterbait. I run a Zoom split tail trailer. This is a pearl color trailer. Pairs well with that white and chartreuse, I think. But I'm throwing it on a Denali covert spinnerbait rod. It's a 6'9", medium heavy, 15-pound fluorocarbon, 6.8-to-1 gear ratio reel. The chatterbaits really feel good with this spinnerbait rod. You can really feel the bait working as it comes through the water without putting a lot of stress on the rod. Rod's not too stiff. I can get good hook sets with it, and it's just a good all-around rod. I love it on spinnerbaits. I love it on the chatterbaits as well. On the smaller chatterbaits, bigger chatterbaits, I'll upgrade to a worm and jig rod. But that's kind of short, sweet, to the point recap of our Jordan Lake tournament. Not much to it this time, just because of how tough it was. There weren't a lot of fish catches, so I don't have a whole lot to say about this tournament. But if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments below. I will drop a link to Denali's website for anybody that wants to go on there and check out what rods they offer. They've got catfish rods, crappie rods, and of course a lot of bass fishing rods. But I've got another video coming out. It's going to be on the tournament that my dad and I fished together. It was a team tournament on one of our local lakes called Grand Mebane Lake. So that'll be dropping as well, and then I'm going to work on a couple of other videos on my bass boat setup and my kayak setup, and why I chose the boat I fish out of and why I chose the kayak I fish out of. So there's a couple more videos to look out for. And if you would like and subscribe, trying to grow the channel. Any suggestions on what you would like to see or hear, drop them in the comments, and I'll be sure to get back with everybody. But as always, tight lines and stay safe.